Hi everyone, this is Lara Hammock from the Marble Jar channel, and in today's video I'll talk about a bunch of different kinds of budgeting systems. So this is a second in a three-part series. So the first video in this series covered the basics of budgeting. What is it, why would you do it, and how does it work? For many people, budgeting is about as appealing as dieting, which is to say not very. In fact, they are very similar processes, and both you're required to follow a set of rules that change your behavior in order to achieve a goal, either to lose weight in the case of dieting or to save money in the case of budgeting. As you know, there are a billion different diets out there. Atkins, South Beach, Weight Watchers, Keto, etc., etc. Believe it or not, there are practically as many ways to budget as well. In the same way that not all diets work for everyone, not all budgeting systems work for everyone either. So in this video, I wanted to give you a high-level overview of several different budgeting systems, and the key is to finding the system that works best for you with your unique brain, your lifestyle, and your goals. So first off, just a quick visual to show you what budgeting accomplishes for you. This is your income. Some portion of your income should be saved for short and long-term savings. Let's say that's 30%. The remainder, this 70%, can be used for living expenses. So a budget helps you determine how you are dividing up your living expenses now and how you want to be dividing that money up in the future. So for example, let's say to make things easy, your income is $1,000. So you'll notice I haven't given a time frame since different budget systems use different time frames. But generally, budgets tend to be monthly. So you put $300 of your $1,000 aside for savings. So how do you split up the remaining $700? $300 goes towards rent, $200 goes towards food, $25 towards gasoline, etc. These are all called budget categories. So first you have to figure out how you're actually using this money now, and then you determine your plan for how you want to split this money up going forward. Generally speaking, the more detailed and complicated the system, the more control that you have, but the harder it is to maintain. The trick is finding the right balance for yourself. Okay, so let's go through some of the budgeting systems. First, 50-30-20. So this budget system is both prescriptive and simple. The idea is that 50% of your income, after tax of course, should be going to needs: mortgage, utilities, transportation, groceries, basic clothing. 30% should be going to wants: Netflix, dining out, electronics, etc. And then 20% should be going towards your goals or saving. So there are only 3 budget categories, so it is simple and should be pretty easy to maintain. But it may not be great for those who need more detailed information about where they can make cuts in their spending. Zero-based. So zero-based budgeting was popularized by Dave Ramsey. It's both a philosophy and a budgeting system. It requires that you set a new budget every month based on your projected income and your projected expenses. The philosophy part is that it requires that you plan where every dollar is going to go. In other words, you establish in advance how each dollar will be used so that you are incredibly intentional about savings, goal planning, and expenses. A zero-based budget never has anything left over. Income minus spending/savings should equal 0. The unique component of the system is the fact that you have to set up a new budget every month, which helps you to stay on track and to know where every dollar is going. Paycheck budgeting. So while most budgets tend to be monthly, since we pay most of our bills monthly, paycheck budgeting uses your paycheck as the budgeting period. So say you get paid twice a month. Each of the expenses, monthly expenses like rent, car payment, or utilities, is assigned to one of your paychecks, with portions of ongoing expenses like groceries and gasoline being allocated to each of them as well. So it has the benefit of being more concrete in matching your income directly to expenses, and it covers a shorter time period, which can make it easier to control expenses. The drawback is that it requires more planning and calendaring than a monthly plan does. So these have all been really specific systems. So let's say you're using a more standard plan, saving 30% and just trying to control the 70% left for living expense. So now that you have this plan, how do you make sure you stay on your budget? You have to track your expenses throughout the month. So there are a lot of ways to do this, and I'm going to go from the most concrete to the most abstract. The envelope method. So this is a cash-based method that some people swear by. For all of your budget categories that are not automatically paid, you go to the bank every month, you take out cash, and then you put that amount of cash that you've budgeted in envelopes for each category. The idea is that you spend only the money in this envelope for that category throughout the month, and when the money is gone, you can't spend anymore. The cash is a clear reminder of your limits, plus People hate spending cash. They find it much more difficult to part with than credit. So there are some obvious drawbacks with this system. First, there's the trip to the bank every month, but also you can get into a bad habit of taking money out of other envelopes in order to pay for things, and then you have no idea where your money's actually going. Next, worksheet or notebook. So some folks work best with a good old-fashioned worksheet or a notebook. They don't want to carry cash around, but they don't mind writing things down on a worksheet split into categories. So each time they make a purchase or a transaction hits their bank account, they write it down in a worksheet or a notebook that is helpfully sorted into budget categories. And as they go, they can subtract from their budgeted amount to determine how much they have left to spend for the month. There are a ton of budget notebooks for sale, and there are thousands of budget worksheet templates on the internet. But you can also make your own worksheet if you don't like their standard categories. This is pretty straightforward, but it does require you to do a bit of calculating, and it can't be easily maintained and shared by more than one person. Spreadsheet. So this is the same concept as a worksheet, except you have the benefit of being able to use the spreadsheet to do your calculations automatically for you. You can also bring in transactions from a bank or a credit card export file and subtotal each category. In addition, if you use cloud-based spreadsheet like Google Sheets, you can share with multiple family members. So this method is flexible, but it does require some technical know-how, and you still have to mostly manually enter transactions or go through the steps to import them from your bank or credit card account. So there's a ton of templates for budget spreadsheets on the internet as well. Smartphone app. So finally, there are apps that will help you to create a budget and track your expenses. Some examples are Mint, YNAB, and Yolt. So I consider this the most abstract tracking system since the app communicates directly with your bank or credit card accounts. It pulls your transactions into the app and sometimes will even categorize them for you. All you're responsible for is making sure the app has categorized your transactions properly and consulting your budget throughout the month to determine whether you're on track to meet your goals. So apps can be convenient and low maintenance, but by the same token, they might allow you to be so hands-off that you aren't paying attention to how you're spending your money until you are way over budget. So they also require a bit of technical know-how to find your way around the app and to hook all of your accounts up. So I use Mint, which I've done a tutorial series on. So this is a sampling of the different budget systems. There are also hybrid systems. For example, Jordan Page from Fun, Cheaper, Free uses a combination of systems. She uses a spreadsheet, I think, for the majority of fixed cost items in her budget. And then she uses a worksheet of sorts. It's actually an envelope that she carries around and writes on for weekly groceries and other discretionary spending. In order to control spending, she actually splits her monthly budget into more digestible weekly portions and writes down every expense for these two categories. This helps her to prevent overspending at the beginning of the month. It forces her to make some tough choices, and it ultimately helps her stay on budget. So another hybrid thing is actually what I do. I use the Mint app, but I pull the transactions into a spreadsheet at the end of the month to do some additional calculations since I find Mint's reporting capabilities to be limited. So the key is finding the budgeting system that works best for you, for your brain, for your lifestyle, and your budget plan. And that's it. So join me in my next video where I break down the 4 steps to successful budgeting. Let me know what you think, or if you have a system that I didn't cover. Comments are always appreciated, and thanks for watching.